All right, everyone, good morning and welcome to our session for a virtual tour of the Cooper River. So my name is Olivia LaWarn. I'm with the Coalition for the Delaware River Watershed. And before we get started, I just have a few housekeeping notes for everyone. So this session will be recorded and will be posted to the Coalition's website the week of the 28th. All attendees upon entering will be muted. So if you have any questions, please use the chat box feature, and we'll be having a question and answer portion at the end of the session. So you can feel free to keep your questions until that time or write them in as they come into your brain. If you're having any technical difficulties, please directly message me in the chat. Again, my name is Olivia LaWarn, and I will do my best to help you out. And the rest of our forum program can be found on sketch.com. At the end of the session, I'll be sharing the link to Sketch so you can figure out what other great things we have going for us for the rest of the days of the conference. So now I am going to turn it over to Noilda, and she'll do a brief introduction before we get to the tour.
All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for, just one second, please. So welcome to our virtual panel. I am Noilda Sousa. I am the Environmental Education Program Director at UrbanPromise. And during the summer, we have our RiverGuides program where when we employ 8 to 9 Camden youth to become river guides of the Cooper River. So this video that you're gonna see now was edited by them. We have actually 2 of them here on this call. We have Ariana and Siani, and they'll be more than happy to answer your questions at the end of the video. Yeah, so without further ado, we can go to the video. This virtual paddle was developed by the RiverGuides, a program that has employed 4 to 8 Camden youth as Cooper River guides since summer 2016. During the summer, the students collected videos and pictures from the paddles and edited a mini documentary of their experience. The paddle trip starts on land with a safety briefing. River guides explain the safety measures that should be adopted on the water for a safe trip. Starting with personal flotation devices, life jackets must be worn at all times. River guides check whether all participants have their life jackets put on properly and tight enough. Paddles should be the right size, which is approximately the length from the ground to your armpit. They also assist participants find the right paddle and identify its parts. A basic stroke demonstration, which includes a forward, reverse, J, and draw strokes, is also given. Getting in and out of a canoe is also explained. It's important to stay low and never stand in a canoe. While on the river, it's also important to behave properly. Any waste should be held in the canoe until the end of the paddle. Respect wildlife and pay attention to signs and safety warnings. Lastly, although we have a motor rescue boat, river guides are also trained on T-rescues. In this case, a canoe that is afloat rescues a capsized canoe.
So this is the Cooper River. The Cooper River in total is around 16 miles long. The headwaters are in Gibbsboro and empties into the Delaware River, which flows out to the Atlantic Ocean. The Cooper River is actually named after William Cooper, who acquired the land in 1682.
Camden Avenue Dam. The Camden County Parks Commission constructed a current dam and tied a gate across the Cooper River in 1938. The tied gate creates the Cooper River Lead. It also controls tidal flow up and down river to maintain constant Cooper Lake water levels for rowing and other boating activities. A fish ladder was later added to allow herring to swim upstream to spawn. They can't jump. The ladder allows the fish to migrate and is driven by what scientists believe to be in the fish's sense of smell.
Fernheim Park was once the site of a beautiful city park, where the brick pavilion offered shade and a vendor sold ice cream. City engineer Levi Fernheim designed the park. The park includes a lake surrounded by a bank to maintain the water level. In 1972, Hurricane Agnes destroyed the banks around the lake, causing the island and surrounding land to flood. Fernheim Park is now almost entirely underwater. During low tide, the area becomes mudflats, but you can still see the beautiful ruins.
During our paddle, you'll find different types of birds, for those birds being the great blue heron, the double-crested cormorant, the great egret, and maybe even bald eagles. The great blue heron is the most important one that I have mentioned because they are sensitive to pollution. So if you find one or more, it means we have healthy waterways, so yay!
Gateway Park was built along Admiral Wilson Boulevard by the Delaware River Port Authority in 2000. It was initially meant to provide a scenic view for those traveling from New Jersey to Philadelphia for the Republican National Convention. The green space replaced what had been a string of strip clubs and motels along the boulevard. After the convention, the park was to be transferred to Camden County, but that never happened. Throughout the years, pieces of the park were turned over to Camden County Municipal Utilities Authority and the New Jersey Conservation Foundation. The park officially opened in March 2019 after nearly 20 years.
The Bear Boulevard Bridge was originally built in 1903, and the bridge serves as a critical connection in the city from the north to the south, and it is marked as a historical landmark.
So this picture that you see right here is what used to be the Camden swimming pool. So this is what it looks like now. In 1929, the Camden County Park Commission decided it would develop a county park within the city of Camden. The new park opened on Memorial Day in May 1931. The county designated the pools in the new Camden Park for whites and constructed a swimming facility in South Camden for people of color. Less than 30 years later, the Park Commission filled in the pool.
This is Campbell Soup. Before this was known as Campbell Soup, it was known as Camden Iron Works, which started in 1866 and ran all the way until 1917. But it didn't stop casting iron then. It went all the way up until 1952, which is when the land was bought out by Campbell Soup. During that time, the land was used as research labs and test kitchens, and this is also the world headquarters. Before Campbell Soup, they used to dump their tomato soup into the water, and that would make the water very acidic and not good at all for the fish and the wildlife.
As a follow-up on my dear friend DJ, when we don't do paddle tours, we do things called water quality testing. What's that, you may ask? Well, it's where we take samples from the river and we test them for pH, dissolved oxygen, pollutants, and temperature. We do these tests to see how basic and or acidic the water is, and also make guesstimates on how the little fishies and other inhabitants survive.
Federal Street Bridge, Old Incinerator. During the early 1700s, the Cooper River had a ferry to transport people to Mount Holly and other northern towns. In 1762, the bridge was constructed to make travel easier. The bridge was also destroyed during the American War for Independence in 1778 to prevent the British from passing to Philadelphia. The bridge was later rebuilt in the early 1900s. The city had the bridge pinned shut due to the lack of river traffic. Incinerator no longer exists today. It was later used to burn trash.
This is State Street Bridge. This is a swing span bridge that used to open for river ferry traffic. Instead of lifting upwards like a drawbridge, it swung to the side. In July 2013, the Camden County Board of Chosen Freeholders completed a project to construct a fixed replacement bridge, including relocating the historic 1899 Warren Though Truss Center Pivot Bridge to the south, thereby eliminating its original function as a swing span movable bridge to accommodate river traffic.
Raymond Hill Waterfront Park. This used to be known as Harrison Ave Landfill. This old landfill site is right next to the Croc Center. It is currently being cleaned up, will be turned into Raymond Hill Waterfront Park, and will include trails, a lookout with a great view of Philadelphia skyline, and a boat launch. It will be finished in 2021.
This is Barnegat Light Ship. Barnegat Light Ship was built in 1904 by New York Shipbuilding. The New York Shipbuilding was placed in Camden because there was a lack of space in New York. And they built over 500 boats for the U.S. Coast Guard, Navy, Marines, etc. The Barnegat was used in World War II to inspect incoming ships down the Delaware, to make sure that they weren't carrying anything dangerous or lethal. If they passed the inspection, they were allowed to proceed going down the Delaware. The Barnegat now sits in Pine Point Bay, and this is how it looks now in the year 2020.
Once prime fishing and hunting grounds. The Lenni Lenape Native Americans. Petty's Island is a naturally preserved island. It is home to water migral, a rare plant found in the Delaware River. Petty's Island is currently in the process of being restored as a natural preserve used by the public. Lenni Lenape means original people.
These are some environmental issues that impact the Cooper River. One environmental issue is pollution. We have point source pollution. An example would be the discharge from manufacturing plants into the Cooper River. The largest point source we have on the Cooper is our outdated combined sewer system. Our sewage pipes and combined with storm water pipes. And when it rains, the extra sewage and rain mix is discharged into the river. Non-point source pollution is harder to clean up since we cannot easily point to the source of pollution. Examples are erosion, runoff from city streets, and chemical runoff from people upstream.
Before the passage of the Federal Clean Water Act, the Cooper River was heavily polluted, but it has come a long way. In April of 2020, the state's Department of Environmental Protection upgraded its designation to Category 1, making it the first urban waterway with such stringent safeguards in place. However, the combined sewage overflows, for example, are still a source of pollution. We will continue performing water quality assessments to make sure it offers exceptional ecological and recreational significance.
All right, everyone. So that was the video. I turned everyone's video off so the playback would be great. Ooh, people liked it. I see a clapping reaction. But for the question and answer portion, I asked that everyone turn their video back on, especially so our student speakers have someone to look at when they're talking instead of a bunch of black boxes with random people's names on them. So I'm going to turn it back over to Noilda. And she can introduce the two student speakers. And while she's doing that, folks, please put your questions in the chat for the speakers.
All right, I'm trying to start my video, but it's saying I can't because the host, oh yeah, no, I don't. All right, everyone. So these are two of our river guides. You want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Ariana. I'm Siani.
And what grades are you from?
10. 10th.
They're both from 10th grade, and this was their first year being river guides, correct?
Yes.
All right, yeah, so whenever you're ready with questions.
All right, I have a question for both of the student speakers to start us off. What's your favorite part of being a river guide?
Just getting to get out and like do different stuff every day. Like I got this summer when I was offered to work with the river guides, like I was really excited because it's something I never did before and it's a good experience.
I was very excited to get out on the water. I feel like the whole water trip was very relaxing and very fun to experience.
Then I have another question here that asks, what was your experience with the Cooper River before participating in the UrbanPromise RiverGuides program?
Not much. I mean, like, I would probably just walk around the river. I would never, like, get on the river. So,
yeah, same for me. I never really had a lot of experience with the Cooper River. If anything, I used it to exercise around the park. But other than that, I had no experience with it.
I think folks are still taking some time to type in their questions. So I'll give them a second to breathe.
About that.
Oh, Tally has a question, not so much for the river guides, but perhaps either Noilda or Joanne, but she's asking, how is the program funded?
Yeah, I guess that question, Joanne would know better.
Yeah, so mainly the William Penn Foundation funds our program.
And then Donna asks, what type of training did you receive to become a river guide?
Training. We didn't really have much training. What we did train was to be out on the water. And yeah, we practiced rescues, practiced how to steer a canoe. there wasn't really much training to do
It's all
because
self-explanatory.
yes,
A lot of it was self-explanatory. Like we did practice rescues. We did practice on how to just in case someone's nervous on the water, they did train us on that very well and things of that sort.
Yeah, basically we would just take them either to the lake first. Yeah, we took them to the lake so they, you know, could be a little bit more comfortable and learned more how to steer. And afterwards, we took them to the tidal part of the Cooper River, and then we just went on paddles, and then day after day, they would get better. And I feel like now, after so many days paddling in the tidal Cooper River, they are comfortable steering a canoe and taking other people.
Sarah asks, how did the program adapt to COVID?
Yeah, so first we reduced the amount of hours that we normally did, also the amount of weeks. Before we used to do 10 weeks, correct, Joanne? And then this year we did only 8 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. And then we had all PPE ready for them. We also did health screening before every morning. So we would ask all those COVID questions, measure their temperatures, give them hand sanitizer. Also, we canceled all of our public paddles. So in a normal year, we would take the community and paddles in the river. So unfortunately, we couldn't do that. So instead, we focused on getting them ready and being comfortable with steering. So actually, it's an invitation that I make to all of you. Like in the next year, hopefully, we will have a vaccine or COVID is not going to be a threat anymore. So just check us out on our social media, and maybe you can come in one of the public paddles. Yeah, these are the things that I can remember right now when we adapted to COVID. And also, we normally would also take them, for example, to the aquarium and some museums and closed spaces. So we didn't do that this year as well. So basically, we try to stay outside all the time instead of, you know, in closed spaces.
Callie asked, do the participants participate in any stewardship or conservation projects to assist with water quality or habitat restoration?
Yes, in fact, we do water quality tests. During the school year, the Environmental Education Department has a stream stewards, but then during the summer, the river guides take over with water quality tests. So yeah, we do that.
I have a question here from Lauren that asks, how do most river guides hear about the program? Do you do outreach to schools? So I think, Noilda, you can explain a little bit more about how the program is integrated into Urban Promise, but I'd also like to hear from the students what made you want to become a river guide, because I know not everyone does it.
All right, yes. So the office that I'm part of, the Office of Experiential Learning, we create programs towards the kids from our high school. So Urban Promise has the elementary school, and we also have a high school. So us personally create programs towards the high school kids. So they know us during the school year because we do overnight trips. I mean, we used to do it in previous semesters, because now this semester we actually doing everyday activities at the Cooper River Yacht Club, and that's how they know us in our office. So yeah, and then they know about the River Guides program, and then the students that, you know, hear about it and want to participate, they can apply. So do you want to say like how you found out about River Guides?
I found out about River Guides through the school. I actually knew about River Guides since about like 7th or 8th grade, and it's something I've always wanted to do. Like me, I like outdoors. I like going outside. I like paddling. I like going on hikes and stuff like that. So when I found out that, you know, I was old enough to be a part of River Guides, I took that opportunity.
I heard about River Guides when I came to apply for Urban, and I seen the River Guides, well, the last year River Guides going out, and I was immediately, you know, curious on what they did, because, you know, I already was told about the activities that was taking places. So yeah, I've heard from Miss Rodriguez, which is our
Dean of Students.
Yes.
And then Jennifer asked, do other people know you get on the river? And I'm going to add in, and how do they react when you tell them? And then what, if anything, do you see prevents people from seeing and enjoying the Cooper River?
When I tell people like we go out on the river, they probably think that I'm crazy, because like we go out on the Cooper River, like it's so big and it's long, and like that's probably like about a 2.5 hour paddle. Mm-hmm. So like 9 times out of 10, they probably think I'm crazy for doing it, but it's actually like pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. When I tell people that that I go out onto the water and paddle, they are shocked, because I guess it's something that they least expect for me to do. So yeah. What was the other question?
The second part was, what do you see that prevents people from seeing and enjoying the Cooper River?
Like, I mean, because I can tell a lot of people aren't comfortable on the water, or at least just in open bodies of water. So it kind of gets them a little startled, and they're like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Or they're more concerned about falling in and stuff like that.
Yes.
I would also say that there is a part of people that they don't know they can go in the river, and maybe in their heads the river is polluted, or maybe it's something that, you know, is not up their alley. Maybe they think, oh, I don't want to be in touch with nature and things like that, you know. But in fact, when you actually go, for example, me, I never went paddling here in the Philadelphia area or here in Camden. But once I did, it was like an awesome experience. So I wish, you know, more people could have access to that. That's why we do our public paddles, and hopefully next year we can do them again. So people, you know, get to know their own city and that they can enjoy the Cooper River.
All right, and we have time for one more question. So Hallie asked, ooh, things are going fast now. What historical fact or story most surprised you to learn about the Cooper River?
Sorry, I couldn't hear. Could you say that again?
Yeah, what fact or story about the Cooper River most surprised you to learn?
The swimming pool. Because you would think like a pool that big in like Camden. I mean, me growing up here, I would never expect that before learning about
I would say probably the Campbell Soup background. Yeah, I felt as though that was the most interesting historical thing to learn about.
Awesome. So for everyone, these intrepid students do need to get back to learning. So I'm going to put Noilda's contact information in the chat if you have any other logistical problems. I know some people had questions about like the guided paddles. So if you have any questions about that, I'll put Noilda's contact and Joanne's contact as well. Yeah, Noilda, go ahead.
Yeah, just one last thing I want to say. I know the video was a little laggy, you know, with the Zoom transmission. So actually we're going to post that on our website, and then you can see like a better, you know, HD version of it.
Awesome. So with that, I'm going to remind everyone that our next session starts at 10. and then you can look at sketch.com for the rest of our sessions for the next 2 days. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.